Most people believe emotional control is a personality trait, something you're either born with or not. They look at calm men under pressure and assume detachment, coldness, lack of feeling. They think control means suppression. But what they don't understand is this: losing control is not an emotional problem, it's a structural one. When pressure rises, most people collapse, not because the situation is extreme, but because their inner world is fragile. They react, justify, defend, over-explain, escalate, not because they want to, but because they cannot contain themselves. And the moment someone loses emotional control, the hierarchy shifts. The calm one becomes the reference point. The reactive one becomes noise. This video is about how to stay mentally cold. When chaos erupts around you, why emotional restraint under pressure is one of the most dominant psychological positions a man can occupy, and how the ability to remain composed, while others unravel, silently places you above them, without confrontation. Welcome to How to Stay Cold-Minded When Everyone Else Loses Control. Part 1. Why chaos exposes who people really are. Chaos does not change people. It reveals them. When things are stable, everyone appears reasonable, everyone sounds rational, everyone believes they are in control. But pressure strips away the illusion. Deadlines, conflict, rejection, disrespect, uncertainty. These moments bypass personality and hit the nervous system directly. And most nervous systems are untrained. This is why, under stress, people raise their voice. Rush decisions, personalize neutral events, seek validation, demand immediate resolution. They are not responding to reality. They are responding to internal overwhelm. And overwhelm always leaks. Tone shifts, body language tightens, speech accelerates. To an untrained eye, this looks like passion. To a trained one, it looks like loss of position. Because the moment someone becomes emotionally dysregulated, they stop being strategic. They want relief, not leverage. They want release, not results. And whoever wants relief first loses. Part 2. Why calm is not about thinking, but about tempo. Most advice about staying calm focuses on thoughts. Think positive, reframe the situation, stay logical. That advice fails under real pressure, because when stress spikes, thinking shuts down, the body leads, the mind follows. Cold-mindedness is not about smarter thoughts, it's about slower internal tempo. When others speed up, you slow down. When they escalate, you stabilize. When they rush, you pause. This creates asymmetry. And asymmetry creates dominance. The man who controls tempo controls the interaction. He doesn't interrupt, he doesn't rush to reply, he doesn't compete emotionally. He allows others to expose themselves while he remains opaque. And opacity under pressure is terrifying because people don't know what to expect from you. And unpredictability, when paired with calm, signals power. Part 3. The fatal mistake people make when emotions rise. Here is where most men fail. They believe control means engagement. They think, if I explain myself clearly, this will resolve. If I defend my position, they'll understand. If I react strongly, they'll respect me. But explanation under pressure is submission. Because when emotions are high, explanations are not heard. They are evaluated for weakness. The more you explain, the more you signal that you are affected. The more you defend, the more you admit vulnerability. The more you react, the more you give the other person control of your state. Cold-minded men do the opposite. They reduce output. They simplify responses. They allow silence to do the work. Not because they are passive, but because they understand that the emotional storms burn themselves out when not fed. Most people argue because they need emotional discharge. If you don't provide it, the storm collapses inward. And suddenly, the one who is losing control is facing himself. Part 4. What actually happens when you don't react? When you stay calm in the face of chaos, several things happen simultaneously. First, you destabilize expectations. People expect resistance, escalation, justification. When it doesn't come, they hesitate. Second, you reverse pressure, silence and calm, force the other person to carry their own emotional weight. There is no place to unload it. Third, you gain observational advantage. While they are busy expressing, you are reading. Tone, word choice, intent. You see the real motive behind the emotion. And once you see motive, emotion loses its threat. This is why calm men often appear ahead of situations. They're not faster, they're clearer. They don't drown in the moment, they stand above it. Part 5. The internal mechanics of staying cold under pressure. When pressure hits, the body reacts before the mind does. Heart rate increases, breathing shortens, muscles tighten. Most men mistake this physical surge for emotion. They think they are angry, anxious, offended. They're not. They're activated. Cold-mindedness begins with recognizing this distinction. You do not need to eliminate activation. You need to contain it. The mistake is trying to calm the situation externally. The work happens internally. When chaos erupts, your first task is not to respond. It is to anchor. Anchor your breath. Anchor your posture. Anchor your gaze. The body stabilizes first. Only then does the mind regain command. This is why calm men move slower under pressure. They are not frozen. They are regulating. While others are leaking energy outward, they are compressing it inward. Compression creates density. Density creates presence, and presence silences rooms. Part 6. Why emotional restraint feels unnatural at first. If you're not used to staying cold, restraint feels wrong. It feels like you're letting things slide, you're losing ground, you're being passive. This discomfort is not weakness, it is withdrawal. You are withdrawing from emotional expression as a coping mechanism. Most people use expression to regulate themselves. They vent, argue, explain, explode. When you remove that outlet, the emotion stays inside longer. This is where most men fail. They mistake intensity for danger. But intensity is not harm. It is energy seeking release. If you don't give it release, it reorganizes. This is how discipline is built. Cold-minded men are not calmer by nature. They are simply familiar with intensity. They have trained themselves to sit in it without acting. And because they don't flee their emotions stop controlling them. Part 7. The social effect of being the only calm one. When everyone else loses control, and you don't, the social dynamic shifts immediately. Not dramatically, subtly. People begin to orient toward you. They look for your reaction. They measure themselves against your composure. They slow down because you're not speeding up. Calm becomes contagious, but only when it is embodied, not forced, not performative, not smug, just present. This is why the cold-minded man rarely needs to assert authority. Authority emerges around him. Others adjust their tone. Their words become more careful. Their emotional range narrows. Because they sense something, you are not participating in the chaos, and anyone who does not participate in chaos stands above it. Part 8. Why calmness creates respect without demanding it. Respect is not granted to the loudest voice. It is granted to the most stable presence. People trust what does not wobble. They defer to what does not panic. They respect what cannot be shaken. When you stay cold under pressure, you communicate something powerful without words. I am not threatened, not by disagreement, not by emotion, not by unpredictability. This message bypasses logic and hits the subconscious directly. Because fear and reactivity are primitive signals, and the absence of them signals superiority in the hierarchy. This is why people often feel embarrassed after emotional outbursts around calm individuals. They sense the imbalance. One was governed by impulse, the other by control. And control is always admired, even when it is resented. Part 9. The long-term effect of training a cold mind. Cold-mindedness compounds over time. The more you practice restraint, the less reactive your nervous system becomes. Situations that once felt intense begin to feel neutral. Provocations lose their bite. Urgency dissolves. This does not make life dull. It makes it clear. You stop confusing noise for importance. You stop mistaking emotion for truth. You stop being dragged into unnecessary battles. And because you are no longer emotionally available to chaos, chaos stops coming to you. People sense when someone cannot be pulled. They test less. They provoke less. They respect boundaries that were never verbally set. Staying cold-minded when others lose control is not about winning arguments. It is about winning position. You do not need to dominate emotionally. You do not need to overpower verbally. You do not need to prove strength. You simply remain intact. While others fracture under pressure, you remain whole. While others rush, you wait. While others react, you observe. And in every environment, social, professional, psychological, the man who remains whole under pressure becomes the reference point. That is the real advantage, not intensity, not aggression, but unshakable internal order.